Now AI is coming and we are learning about AI, how it can be a friend. So that is keeping you on your feet,
Correct.
constantly. And so that hands-on, like that practicality is something I love. Making films is the common ground. But now it has been split into so many things because of digitization. The cost of living is high, the school fees are high, you're paying in dollars. Like all of these things, of course, matter, right?
Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Metier Talks, your go to podcast to get insights about various careers straight from the industry experts and professionals. I'm Jyoti, your host today, and before we move further, do not forget to hit the bell icon so that you do not miss any episode. Today, we have a very special guest who's a very dear friend of mine. He has taken up a very unique and unconventional career path. He's incredibly talented, and anytime if you ask him, what do you do? He simply says, I shoot people. So, without delaying any further, let's straight ask him what does he really do. Welcome, Malay. Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show, and I'm really excited to have you today.
Likewise, man. So we have been talking about, doing this talk since a while,
Right.
and then finally, like, we have the
Absolutely.
time to sit and discuss on these things. So yeah.
Before we actually ask anything further, I first want to, I'm sure the audience want to know, what do you do? Because you shoot people.
Yeah. So see, the thing is, when you associate something like shooting, it's not like I take a gun and shoot. Basically, my
Exactly.
medium of shooting is different. So I
Right.
use a camera, of course, and I love shooting people. So I love
Right.
shooting people so that I can make them look better, make their brands look better, make their products look better. So that is what I love doing. So yeah, that's what I mean by I
Fantastic,
shoot people.
fantastic. I'm sure now the audience must be having a
Yes,
relief hearing this.
hope so. Yeah.
And so before I mean, one thing that I'm really intrigued is that how did you choose up such an unconventional career? What led you to take up the career in filmmaking?
So I'm a very hands-on person. I wasn't a very bright kid when I was in my 10th or schooling or whatever. So, you know, after I was one of the youngest DJs in
Oh,
Pune. I started
fantastic.
DJing when I was like, in my eighth standard. And then, so from 8th to 12th for 5 years, and then 1 year of like a drop, college. For 5 years, I was DJing. And then I joined Flame University, wherein I did my filmmaking as my master, as my major, and advertising and marketing as my minor. But the first 2 years were like it was liberal arts. So first 2 years were like discovery phase. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
And in that phase, there were like, people doing MBA, who are doing communications and like, film majors and all of that. So they knew ki, okay, I was a DJ. Okay. So then they associated, okay, this guy knows music. I am a films person. So let me give him the background score or the sound for my film. So by the time I finished graduation, I had over like, 100 plus films like under my name, because
Awesome.
in some I had given music, some I had done sound design, some I had directed, some I had done camera work. And this happened like in like 5 to 6 years. I mean, not that my graduation took 5 to 6 years, but 4 years of graduation since it was liberal arts, and 2 years of staying more on campus because my mom stays on campus. So luckily I stayed with on campus, and I worked with them as well. So then that led me to a question that, okay, I am doing this, but am I doing justice to these films? Because creatively I knew what to do. This field is both creative and technical, but in technically I was very weak, right? So with cinematography or something, you can see what you're doing, but with sound you can only hear, and you can go wrong in multiple layers when it comes to sound. So that's when I decided that I want to do sound design and recording mixing as my major from Satyajit Ray Film Institute. So
Wow.
one of my professors suggested ki, why don't you apply for FTI and SRFTI? So I applied for both, didn't get through in FTI, but got through in SRFTI. So yeah, that's what.
Great. This is awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And I believe you've got scholarship too.
So yes, so basically SRFTI, FTI are very like tough entrances to crack. It's an all India entrance. You are asked multiple questions and like multiple formats. Physics is required. That at least back in the days. I don't know the
Yeah.
format right now. And to crack that was a big deal. Okay, and I cracked it, and like I was so there were only 6 students were selected from like thousands that apply, and first two are given scholarship. I was the second one in the first semester,
Wow.
and then later on I kept like was first. Only one semester I dropped in as my on my scholarship,
Oh,
but yeah, 5 semesters I had
this
full
is
scholarship.
inspiring. So then, you know what? Normally, when generally, if you see anybody when they think about filmmaking, they only relate it to Bollywood movies, with the camera and everything, shooting for a movie. But is filmmaking just about making movies, feature films?
So, if you would have asked me this 10 years back, I would have said, a lot of people who want to get into major films will go for film schools. Okay. Because you go for a film school because you have that much passion to make films.
Correct.
Okay. Uh, Making films is a common ground here. But now it has been split into so many things because of digitization, right? So since the time like OTT platforms have come in, YouTube as a major player has come in, so a lot of people want to produce content for these things. Like, it can be YouTube, it can be OTT platforms, it can be, a bunch of other things that have opened up, so apart from the big theatrical releases, and recently I did a podcast wherein they have started the talkies thing system again, wherein you take the entire theater to like a small village.
Oh.
So digital, because everything is digital, right? Like it doesn't cost you much to put up a screen over here and get 50 people and sell the tickets of like 100 rupees,
Right.
so that it's accessible for everybody. So
Right.
the reach because of this is going wider, and that's where there are a lot of opportunities in the market to make a career into this field. Previously, 10 years back, 15 years back, yes, it was restricted probably to the mainstream industries, but now a lot of streams have opened up. So
I think films, when you say making films, it also is related to, it can be also be connected to advertisements, personal branding, marketing, also, right from the corporate
yes, so
angle.
basically there's a very good saying by one of the greatest filmmakers. I don't remember who said it. You pick up a camera and shoot, and you're a filmmaker. Right, so it's the same thing. You pick up a camera, shoot, be it whichever medium. It's an audio visual medium, be it on Instagram, be it on Facebook, be it on YouTube, be it for OTT platforms. The medium with which you are shooting probably will change. Like probably for the social, you're shooting on phone. Probably for bigger things, you're shooting on a DSLR. Like this
Yeah.
podcast is being shot on a DSLR, for
Right.
example. If you're shooting an advertisement, you're shooting on a cine camera. Or if you're shooting for theatrical release, you're shooting on a cine. The medium is changing, but the grammar or the craft behind it is the same.
Right.
So the same rules or the same fundamental theory that you're applying for social media is going to be applied for a big release as well. Probably the scale will of course drastically change, the budgets will change, the scale will change, and all of that, but the underlying grammar or the theory part or the technicalities will
Remains the
remain the
same.
same.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
so it doesn't matter whether if you're shooting on a phone or on a
So thanks to technology, I would say,
yeah,
what
yeah,
it has
100%.
evolved. Would you want to throw light on this, like how technology has the evolution of technology also has brought about a lot of progress to filmmaking?
So basically, see, previously when I was also in film school at that time, film cameras were there, right? So what used to happen used to get like one film, which was around 4 minutes long, right? It used to go into the film cam, but like the actual camera. film 35 camera, and we used to have only 4 minutes of runtime, and in that much, like, our preparation used to happen and all of that, like, so all the process was full analog. There were so many people involved. Of course, job opportunities that time because of films were there in that particular domain, right? But then the ease of access, like, cut to 20 years later, now you don't need any fancy camera, you don't need any fancy gadgets.
Yes.
You need your phone, a smartphone which has got a camera.
Right.
I'm not even saying you need an iPhone.
Right.
You need a specific phone which has a camera, and you need to clean the lens. You need to have some storage in your phone,
Right.
and you need to know basic fundamentals ki how light works,
Correct.
right?
Right.
So the technology has, and even in terms of every department, I'm not just talking about cameras, right? Like, microphones have become so cheap.
Right.
Lights have become so cheap.
Right.
LED lights have come in. Microphones, like these dynamic microphones, are super cheap, right? But they're giving great quality audio. Phones have, like, the consumer market, like the smartphone market has boomed in the past
Absolutely.
decade, right?
Right.
So everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has the means to make content. Everybody has the means to put out content on the
Right.
platforms which are free of cost. So technology has made it so easy for us to, like, put ourselves, our services, our products, our what are you special for in this world, right?
Right.
That message across so very easily.
And it's become so easy to use, like,
Yeah, yeah.
my niece,
Yeah.
she started making reels now. I mean, like,
Yeah.
she's a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
and she has started making
Yeah.
reels with a simple phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think of it this way: is your audience, what are they watching your content on? Right? Your niece, she's shooting on the phone, she's putting it on social media. What is her end audience? It's on the phone, right?
Right.
Max, it's going to go up to the desktop
Right.
or a PC, right? They are not, like, blowing it up on a, like, 30,
Big
like a
screen or
big screen or
something,
whatever,
yeah.
right? So shooting from a phone and the end audience is on the phone makes complete sense. I mean, why would you want to invest in something, anything else? You have little knowledge through YouTube, through, like, whatever, about how to have your basic filming and lighting, and that's all you need. Technology has made it so easy. You have everything with you,
Right.
right? So yeah.
Great. So this has made I mean, that has kind of put a threat to the filmmakers, I believe. So having said that, do you think now, like, it's become so user friendly and anybody can shoot and everything? Do you think going to a film school is important, or even an on-the-job training is good enough for us to for someone to become a filmmaker?
That's a great question. See, you got to choose, like, what situation you are in. Okay, if you have time, and you want to learn with, like, a mentor, like multiple mentors, and if you also want to have the best of equipments, hands on to use, I would definitely say film school. Okay.
Right.
And of course, the confidence that you build, because you're mentored, you're taught, you are handheld, so to say, right? Like, in every single doubt that you have.
Right.
And not only from a particular field, like, for example, I did sound design and mixing, right? So not only in sound, but everything about photography, about cameras, about production, about producing, editing. All these departments form your film.
Right.
You become a filmmaker, right?
Correct.
So you have a great knowledge of all these things when you go to the school.
Right.
I'm not saying that you won't get all this knowledge in the, like, hands-on job, but it depends so much, right? Like, what kind of mentor you get, right? Like, say, suppose you get somebody who's not probably so driven, and wants to focus on just, like, say, editing, or probably somebody who's just driven towards camera work.
Right.
So and I would definitely say, in today's day and age, having one skill is not enough. You need to be a well-rounded person
Absolutely,
from in any field,
right.
Like, so as a filmmaker, you need to know sound design, you need to know cinematography, you need to know basic photography. Start from there, right? Still composition, then motion, framing your motion shots, then going into editing, then all these things. Of course, like script writing, pre-production, all these stages are there, like like your story, your concept, your idea, how to build it, all these things, like nicely packed and gifted to
Yes.
you on a platter, which will happen in a film school,
Absolutely right.
right? So and this you're able to do in like probably 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Yeah, if you're a slow student, maybe 5 years,
Right.
right? But on the other side, so these are the pros of film school. Okay. The pros of like doing a hands-on thing is definitely, like, say suppose you definitely want to get into, like, say you want to become a cinematographer, then I would say catch hold of like somebody who's very well known, who you have looked up to, and like assist them for some time, get hands-on experience. And there are of course digital mediums that are there, and then learn over there. If you have any questions, ask that person. So but it'll be very pointed learning.
Right.
So that is my take on it today. If would I do like my course again? 100%. And why, I'll tell you. Because the kind of equipment that we got to use, the kind of mics, the kind of cameras, the kind of everything, like it was a world class facility.
Correct.
It's a government school, like central government,
Right.
right? And all the things that we got to use, like today if we go out and say practically, like can I use an Alexa camera, can I use a Alexa mini, can I use a Red, can I record sound on sound devices, or can I do I have a, like all these technical terms, I'm sorry, like like can I U87 mic, can I have a 416, this, that, whatever you name it, and the best industry standard was there. So when you get out in the industry itself,
You
you
are
are
ready.
not, yeah, you're not scared to handle that equipment, because you're
Right.
so used to handling it.
So you basically become job fit.
Yeah, you're job fit. Like you step out and you're confident ki, okay, I can do this.
Right.
The little anxiety will of course be there, like it's your first job, it's your whatever. So straight out of college, straight out of film school, like that anxiety, it's normal to have. But the confidence of handling this equipment gives an edge over most of the people, is what I would say. So that
Right.
is my take on it.
And besides, you have a proper certification coming from a
That though, of course,
world-class
like today, if I
university,
say I'm
right?
from SRFT, people don't need to ask.
Correct.
Have you done? Show me your work, or like whatever.
Right.
It's like, IIM and IIT of
Right.
film school, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Can't agree more on that. So I've seen that these days on Instagram, when I scroll the reels, I see a lot of them where they are using human figures, AI human figures. Okay, and do you think that see as a threat to your industry?
So AI as a threat to the industry?
Yeah.
Um, I don't see AI as a threat to the industry.
Because I see a lot of a lot of reels where they are using
Yeah.
AI human figures. I
Yeah.
mean, not the real human.
So, see, there are two aspects to creating visual content, right? One is money. Yeah. And the most important is money, right?
Yes.
And the second is what it's driving is technology. Okay. So if you don't have money, you're going to help use of technology, what is currently available. And AI
Right.
is available in like great help right now,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
right? Like you put in whatever, you're getting that result. Okay. But the other thing that is missing in AI content is the human element or the emotion,
Absolutely. Right.
right?
Agree.
So the emotion part is very difficult to replicate. The humanization is very difficult to replicate. You can get the best of visuals, you can get the best of like audio quality or like whatever it is, but the, like, suppose we sitting together, like imagine, can an AI produce it? Probably 20 years, 10 years down the line, maybe. At the moment, no. At the
Yeah.
moment, the way I'm talking, my emotions, my journey, my experiences of life, that is something that AI can't replicate. And that is
Absolutely.
what I don't see it as a threat,
Right.
because it's a skill based thing. And in any skill based field, of course technology advancements will happen, but the emotions will definitely play an upper hand.
Right.
The feel, the emotion, the experience.
Right.
So, and of course you have to use it as an, sorry, I'm just cutting again, of course you have to use it as an advantage, right? use it to write scripts, probably use it to ideate, use it to if you
Enhance.
enhance your craft.
Right.
If you're stuck somewhere, ask questions to it, ki, how can I do it?
Right.
So it's like probably your best friend who knows it all.
Right.
Don't just
I can
take
resonate to this because I use ChatGPT.
yeah, everybody does. You can't say that, okay, don't rely on AI, or I don't use ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever it is. Everybody does, right? And you should. Why shouldn't you? Because it helps you think better,
Right.
faster, and more accurately.
Right.
So
Yeah. So, what kind of skills you think? How soon should a child? How will it? Supposing a student wants to make a career in in filmmaking or cinematography. So, what are the skill sets and how required, and how soon they should start working on it, and what is the right time for it?
see, first of all, a lot of people don't know what they want to do, right?
That's why
So
I'm there.
yeah. So and things keep changing. Your passion keeps
Right.
drifting from one side to another, so basically, if you have a liking for something, the faster or the quicker you grasp it, the better. And like, going back, everybody has got phones and smartphones and all of that,
Right.
right? Like, you have the means with you. So why aren't you like going out there and experimenting with it?
Right.
Right. So and for any skill based, or whatever, you want to build your work, you want to build your own your skills, whatever it is, practice goes
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
long way. Like,
Right.
you cannot do without not practicing,
Practice.
right? Like, you
Yes.
have to practice. So basically, if you just pick up your phone and shoot like just like say 2 pictures every single day, by the time in a year you'll have more than 700 pictures,
Yeah.
right? So, and that is what is going to add on, like that experience, versus somebody is like, oh, meko, I just want the picture to be perfect. So by the time you reach there, you've
The time
gone.
has passed.
A person who has got 700 pictures worth of experience, the 701 picture is going to be much better than the person who's thinking, "Ki, okay, my craft and this thing has to be so good that I'll wait, I'll study, I'll do this, I'll do that,
Right.
just procrastinate over it, and and click one picture."
Correct.
So the sooner you start, the better it is. The
Right.
sooner you realize, this is what I want to do. Start building towards it. Start practicing it. You might think, okay, this is not something what I want to. Well, fine, great. Then choose something else,
Right.
right? But then as soon as possible, I would say.
Right. So, if you want to get into SR, FTI, or FTI, whatever, do you have, what are the prep that you need to do? Is there an entrance exam or any portfolios to be submitted? How does it go about?
Portfolios have to be there. Whatever little knowledge you have and whatever passion it's driving, you are going forward with, you need to start building towards it, like I said, right? Like, so if you like say cinematography, you need to start shooting. You need to start shooting people. You need to start
Now I
shooting
get it.
yeah, you need to start shooting places, people,
Yeah.
products. Like, the thing that you like doing, you have to start building. You might be wrong, but that's why film schools are there, right? Like, to
Right.
learn. But at least they want to see what effort you have put in,
Right.
right? So that is number one.
Right.
Second is, when it comes to studying, there are two types of entrances. One is general knowledge, and the other is area specific. So in my case, when I did sound design, it was sound related, like physics and sound and all of these, that theory side, the area specific and general knowledge. So for general knowledge, I practiced Manorama. I don't know whether you know Manorama, the
Okay.
book.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So the general knowledge book, every year it comes up with an edition. So Manorama
Right.
was my go-to book. And of course, I had mentors from the film school who I used to
Okay.
talk to.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's what helped me a lot. Practice helped me a lot, and the
Passion?
reason passion helped me definitely passion. And the reason why I think I cracked SRFTI and not FTI, because I worked for a year on a film, which gave
Right.
me a very good understanding of like the filming process and everything. So that helped me a lot. So this is just the entrance, written entrance. So after this is GDPI. So when you get selected in your written, then you're called, like 30 odd students are selected. Then you go to the campus, then there's group discussions, and there's a mentor sitting evaluating you, then there's a personal interview, and after all that you get selected.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So
So it's
yeah,
not that easy to.
it is not that easy.
Right.
It is not that
So
easy.
that's a key takeaway for the
Yes, I
students.
mean, but I mean, see, when it comes to, if you want to get into like one of the uh, better schools, so to say, uh, I mean,
You
getting
need
into
to put
IIT is also
efforts.
not
Yeah,
easy. Getting into IIM is
absolutely.
also
Yeah,
not
yeah.
easy.
You need to start early
yeah,
for anything.
yeah.
And for to start early, you should know where you want to go.
I mean, even if you don't know, I would say ki, start exploring different things. Like suppose you
Right.
might be good at painting, start exploring. Then you
Right.
might apply for to JJ.
Right.
So suppose if you are good at like dance, so you might apply for a dance school.
Right.
So, but you need to
Absolutely.
explore these things, like what are
Right.
you good at, what do you like. You might be good at coding, So find a great coding school. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So there is one more thing that I'm going to unveil about you is that you also have your own band,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I want to hear more about it.
Okay. So actually band and musician thing just happened. It wasn't a conscious choice that I want to get on stage and play for people and all of that. I still have like stage fright
Oh.
even after playing so many shows. But then see, I was doing sound recording and mixing as my major, as my specialization. And one of my friends, Sunny, he had come from the US, and he had written few songs. And he said he um, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you have written few songs, come down, we'll record a few songs.
Okay.
So we recorded like few songs. We put out few songs, like and we, like, of course, song making is, it's like making a, like, probably a baby in itself, like putting life into like something which is not there,
So when
right?
did this happen? When you were in Flame?
No, when I was in SRFTS, Satyajit
Okay.
Film Institute,
All right.
right? Like, so basically the idea is there, and then you have to find the perfect voice, perfect instrument, perfect mic, perfect this, perfect that, and then kind of perfection, perfect song will come out, right? Same thing, you have to find a perfect actor, perfect cameraman, perfect this thing, perfect that thing, perfect crew, and then a film will come out, right? So
Right.
it's the same funda behind everything. So luckily we had the perfect mix of all
All right.
during that time. Like we just like it, and it just happened. And that's why our first album is also called As Written in the Stars. We
Wow.
recorded it and we put it out on like social platforms, YouTube, and we didn't say that we are a band from like India, or like from Pune or from Mumbai or wherever. We just said we are Easy Modelings,
Oh
and
wow.
we started getting calls from all over the world. Come play with us, come play here, come play that. Are you guys located here? Are you guys located there? And finally, Weekender called, and then we had to gather a band together, and that's how it started. So yeah.
Great. So you've been putting up so many shows. So
Yeah.
can I also say that you have another way of means of earning through the shows?
Yes and no. So why yes is because yes, it does pay. It's not that it doesn't pay. But if you're a small band, okay,
Right.
if you're a 4 piece, 1 piece, 2 piece, like a solo or like a duo, or like a quartet, like a, so that will really help. Say suppose you are earning a lakh from a show, you'll get split 25,000 per show per
I
person,
know,
and
right.
probably like manager fees. So you are maximum like getting 15,000 to 20,000 per show, right?
Right.
Like in a good scenario. Okay. So you're earning, and say monthly you have like say 4 shows, 5 shows, you're earning 60,000, 70,000 per month.
Oh.
Okay. So that's still decent enough. Okay.
Right.
From the conventional whatever. But isme na, there are seasons. So there is a season from say August end till like Feb ish.
It's season.
Season time, right? Like everybody, it's like festive season, right? Like
Yeah.
Christmas is there, Ganpati is there, Diwali is there, this is there. The weather is great. People want to step out. So offers are going on and all of that. So So in this is a peak season time, you'll earn good, decent. But then that money also has to go for recording songs. That money
Right.
also has to go
Has
for
to
your general daily expenses.
reinvest.
Yeah. So that's where it gets trickier,
Hmm.
because the cost of recordings and all of that, it's higher. So yeah.
So yeah, so this is indeed so students who wish to make a career in music.
Um, yeah. So if you want to make a career in music, again, I would say, like,
Go to a good school.
go to a music school, because that's where you'll also find a lot of school will give you a great network of people from the same field,
And great learning
and
too.
great learning too. That goes without saying. Okay,
Yeah.
you go to a good school, you'll get a great, and that's where you come in to choose, which school to go to. But
True.
but yeah, I mean, so for example, music school, you will have a bunch of people, musicians. Like,
Right.
I say I chose guitar. Okay, there will be a person who wants to learn bass. There will be a person who wants to learn drums. And not a person, like people who want to learn drums, people who want to learn bass, people who want to learn vocals, people who want to learn guitars and harmonium and piano and this and that. It's a school, right? Like, you get
Right.
multiple instrument. So, and that's where you understand who you're clicking with as well. And that's where you jam out with people, you discuss a lot of your ideas, and
Opportunities come.
opportunities rise. And that's how even our band had formed, right? Like, in our college days, we jammed out, like, songs, and just fun songs, cover songs, just enjoy. So yeah, and that helps quite a bit.
Correct. Right. Right.
So
So I also know that you are into teaching. You're so talented. I can't tell you what.
what are you going to do of all the knowledge that you carry, just to keep it, like, to yourself? So you, of course, got to give it to, like,
Right. So
everybody.
now I have a tricky question.
Huh.
Okay.
Huh.
Filmmaking versus music
Music.
versus teaching.
Okay. So the rewards for each one is different.
Right.
Okay.
So
So
tell me.
you gotta keep, like, what is more rewarding, or what is, it's not about more rewarding or less, like, rewarding. All of them are rewarding, and the level of satisfaction you get with all of them is very different.
Different.
Like, when you're teaching, the kind of, like, see, sound design, filmmaking, it's both creative and technical, right? Like I said, music is creative and technical, right? Even teaching, it's not technical, but it's more creative. The way you have to explain to the kids, like, how simply can you put it? Can a, say, 10-year-old understand the concepts of filmmaking? So you have to make it to that extent, like, it has to be so easily delivered. Because when I was learning, I found it difficult to understand from my teachers, so I had to really ask questions, and not everybody is like that,
So you
right?
could resonate to
So I
it.
could resonate, so I understood the like, I took the positives from there, I took the negatives from, like, what I felt was lacking, and I put all of this into one basket, and that's how I try to deliver. And the level of satisfaction that I see on my students, like, faces, and their enthusiasm after the course. So I
I
teach
can
as a,
resonate to this.
yeah. And after like 3 days or 5 days, they're like, oh my god, why can't you teach us for like a month? Or please come in as like a full time, like, so that's the biggest.
It's a feeling of achievement to see them
Exactly. That's the
learn.
next level of satisfaction that you
Right.
get.
Right.
So that's for teaching. For music, when like performing, when you see like a sea of people singing your songs along with you, like,
I
the
know.
goosebumps and the tears that can roll
Yeah.
through an artist's eyes, that is the
True.
next
True.
level
True.
of
Right.
feeling. Right, like something that you have created, and like thousands of people are singing your song back to you.
Yes.
It's a feeling that you cannot describe in words.
Correct.
So that's a different achievement. And when it comes to filmmaking, that's something like,
Your bread and butter.
it's bread and butter, yes, but it's so constantly changing, evolving, and challenging, right? Like, think of it, just 5 years back, like, microphones were so expensive. Just 10 years back, like, 15 years back, these DSLRs or whatever didn't exist. Everything was film cameras. So it's so rapidly changing, it's challenging you. Now AI is coming, and we are learning about AI, how it can be a
Yes.
friend. So that is keeping you on your feet,
Correct.
constantly. And so that hands-on, like that practicality is something I love. And I'm being rewarded by it, right? Like I love to explore different things, different lights, different, compositions and all of these things. Like for example, now I'm like mostly, getting into how to fly a drone. I want to get a certificate, right? So there are so many things that in this field itself you want to explore more,
Right.
right? So that is something which I love doing. So,
Great. I mean,
yeah.
I can completely resonate to many,
Yeah.
whatever you are saying. Not that I'm into filmmaking, but to
Yeah.
teaching part or,
Yeah.
to the band and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for students who wish to make a career in cinematography?
Basically, don't think of just one field into filmmaking. Think of like of becoming a filmmaker as a whole, and not just like a sound designer or a cinematographer or an editor,
Right.
because all these things are interconnected. Like, the editor should know composition, the editor should know lighting techniques, the editor should know, what is sound, how to treat sound. The cinematographer should know where, like, what the sound is coming, where the sound is coming from, all the technical sides of that, and likewise, like, director should have an understanding of all these things. So you are becoming an overall filmmaker and not just like sticking to, oh, I'm an editor, oh, I'm a cinematographer, right? So you have to develop all these skills. Yes, your line of specialization can be cinematography, right? But you need to have an understanding as a whole.
Right.
See, eventually it's a team game, right? And the best way you can win in any team game is by understanding all. Suppose you are playing football, right? If you're a goalkeeper and you just stick to goal keeping, and you're not guiding anybody or telling, like goalkeeper usually dictates the game, right? Like keep, go where, go do that, go do this. Suppose the director only doesn't know, okay, kick the ball there or do
Right.
this, do that. The game's going to fall flat,
Correct.
right? So that's why people should know, what they are getting into, right? So that is what I would say, it is so important to have an overall feel of the entire subject and then get into a specialization.
And above all, I would say that you should be a passionate.
You need to have that drive.
Right.
I mean, see, this is something that I can, like, you give me food, you don't give me food, water, night sleep, like, and I can still do it. Like,
Yes.
when camera is in my hand, or when I'm thinking about, like, how to shoot this, I forget what time it is. I forget,
Correct.
I had to eat. I forget. It's not a great thing, but like, you're so engrossed in it
Right.
that the world doesn't matter. It's like everything is a blur,
Correct.
right? So if that is something happen, that whichever field that is, I'm getting goosebumps right now while saying it. Whichever field that is, that is something that you would love to do.
Right. And like, see, now what's happening is that the society is looking. I mean, the only thing that they see is conventional careers like medicine or engineering or maybe or any of these conventional careers that is now, which they feel is the most lucrative. But nevertheless, if there is passion for something and you pursue it, I think once you pursue it, you will excel in it, and automatically, I think money will come. You'll become unbeatable.
100%. See, conventional careers, what is the education part do they follow? Say, suppose you have to become a doctor. What is the part you follow? You apply to a school. How
Right.
many hours of schooling do you do undergo? Say, like, like you study for 8 hours,
Right.
10 hours or more
Right.
when you're in medicine, right?
Right.
Over a period of how many years? 3 years, 5 years,
6
right?
years, yeah.
6 years, right? And then after that, what do? You come out of the school, then you are like at a junior level. Then what do? You're still practicing your skill,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
For how many years? 2 years or 3 years. So
Right.
you're putting a decade long of 8 hours or 10 hours of everyday work in honing your one skill. It's a skill, right? Like
Right.
medicine, you are learning the subject. Take the same business, like take the same model, put it into any other skill. You want to become a cinematographer, you want to become anybody. Are you putting 8 hours of work? Are you putting 5 years of your just studying your skill? You want to become an editor, fine. Are you putting 8 hours for 3 years to 5 years in editing? Are you learning? Do you have a mentor? Think of it like that. Conventional, unconventional,
Yes.
right? Are you, see, over here, the
It,
end result, you will achieve that level, you will earn well. But if you put in so much effort in this, you will
right.
definitely earn well.
Right. That's a key takeaway, because what's happening, we need to change this mindset that only medicine and engineering is.
Eventually, what music has taught me is, you, or any field has taught me that I do, is you cannot run away from practice
Right.
or learning. You put in the same amount of effort in engineering, or you put in the same amount of effort in music. If you are cut out for engineering, and if you put out same amount of effort, you're going to excel in it. If
Correct.
you're cut out for music, and if you put same amount of effort in it, you're going to
Absolutely.
like really
Absolutely.
blow out of proportion, right?
Right.
So that is what you should think.
Right.
Are you willing to put that much amount of effort in your field? The
Correct.
same amount, I'm not asking for more, I'm saying same amount the conventional subjects would demand, say law, say doctor, or say engineer. They demand such certain amount of time from you,
Right.
right? At same time, I'm saying put it in this, try it
Right.
out, and see
Right.
what happens.
Absolutely, I agree on that, because there's so much more. Do what you love,
Yeah, yeah,
and then you won't, as you said, like, you don't feel like you can be without food and water, because
yeah,
you don't feel work as work then.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
So now I have a new segment in our chat show, and that's
Okay.
called as the busting the myth.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So now I have some three questions to ask you.
Hmm.
Okay, which I would be shooting it out to you.
Okay.
So you
Fine.
have to say whether it's a myth or not. All right. So filmmaking is a male dominated career.
I no chance.
Myth busted.
No chance, because there are so many great filmmakers, like women filmmakers. um, I generally feel women are more disciplined, more organized, like, generally in life, and every field requires discipline, organization, and in this field, right from, be it like DOPs, be it editors, be it, you'll find it's like an equal balance, I would say.
Okay.
Right from there, I feel they are more creative as well.
Yeah, of course.
So and it's a creative field, right?
Right.
So you'll definitely find, if not more, at least at par, it's like
Right.
an equal
Great. So
division.
that's a
Yeah.
great takeaway. And then also, pursuing this course is very expensive. And after the course, having equipments is also very expensive.
uh yes and no. It depends on what you're looking for. See, when you speak about equipments, if you're directly gonna, if you have the money, and if you can afford, um say like a cine camera, which is say 20 lakhs, it is expensive.
Right.
If you don't have the money, but if you want to still shoot little bit cinematic, if you have say 20,000, 30,000 saved, can you get the same amount of yeah, kind of quality from your iPhone or any other Android, Google phone or whatever? You can. It depends on where you want to go.
Correct.
Right. Going to the film school, is it expensive? What you asked me first.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, yes and no. You have to choose which film school. So for me, my school was central government school,
Right.
right? So the fees are extremely low. It's subsidized, right? The ministry pays for your education. Basically, you are just paying literally for the bare minimum cost that will come. It
Correct.
must have changed, of course, over the years. It must have gone like 5x, but that's probably inflation, right?
Right.
Like a decade later, you can't say ki the fees are still going to be 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. It'll change to like probably 2 lakhs or like whatever for a year. But that's fine. I mean, it's still only that much, right? But if you go abroad, it probably is more expensive. If you choose private schools, it's probably more expensive. But you got to choose your school. So it depends on which school you want to go. So that, and if you don't have the money, there are of course scholarships available, like all government. So there are two types of scholarships, right? One is a need based, and
And
one is
merit
a
based.
and merit based.
Right.
So when I was in my previous school, I was on a need based scholarship, but in my next film school, I was on a merit based scholarship.
Right.
I didn't have the money to pay, so I chose my school wisely. I was like, okay, I want to go to a government school, and I saw the benefits in that. So yeah, so it
Okay.
is not expensive, and expensive is very like
relative.
relative. So
Right. I
yeah.
know, I get it.
Yeah.
But overall, like, like there are certain courses. We know medical course is very expensive if you're going to a private university. I think the same
The
logic
same
applies
logic.
here,
Like
right?
if you go to like a private film school, it's super expensive because the
Right.
equipments are the quality of equipments they would use
Would be
will be
way,
expensive,
right.
right? So that you get hands-on, experience on those. So
Hmm.
that increases the cost.
Right.
So yeah, and even where you are going, suppose if you go to New York Film Academy, like LA or like wherever,
Hmm.
um, the cost of living is high, the school fees are high, you're paying in dollars, like all of these things of course matter, right? So tuition fees are also high. Versus if you do your thing in India. So I also strongly believe if you are going to stick to Indian industry, you should learn in India
Hmm.
because you learn about Indian culture, you learn about
Correct.
Indian, whereabouts, all of these things, and it's like you're basically filming culture.
So then I have a question to ask here
Huh.
relating to this. Is supposing if a student, I mean, wants to get into cinematography, studying in India versus going abroad.
So, like I said, if you're just doing a skill-based thing, it's
Mm.
different. But if you're
Mm.
looking at an overall filmmaker, then I would
Mm.
say, studying in India would be better.
Mm.
If you're doing a skill, going abroad probably has a slight edge because the technology
It's more
probably
advanced, right?
probably advanced, but also it's expensive.
Mm.
Right? I'm not saying that we don't have the advanced tech here.
Mm-hmm.
It's there.
Mm.
Um, but somewhere like signing, getting permission, this that, the
Mm.
usual process
Bureaucracy.
of getting things done is a little
Mm.
lengthier process. But if you
Mm.
have the patience to deal with that, please go here.
Right.
Or
Study in
else
India.
or else go abroad, finish it off in 1 year, you'll save time but you'll spend more and come back and just do cinematography.
Mm.
But if you are going to be as a whole filmmaker, being in India will help because we learnt about Indian cinema.
Mm.
We didn't, of course we learnt about European cinema, US, what was happening there, but
Mm.
we also learnt a lot about Indian roots, like who
Right.
were the pioneers during that time, right
Mm.
from Dada Saheb Phalke to uh, Satyajit Ray to Ritvik Ghatak to like so many of like the classic filmmakers, right? So that helped quite a bit how
Mm.
their thinking was.
Okay.
So all of these things. So this, if you would have gone somewhere else, you would not have learned.
Correct, correct.
So
So
yeah,
that's a great perspective you have
yeah,
given about
yeah,
studying cinematography in
yeah,
India
yeah.
versus abroad.
Abroad, yeah,
So I think you have we had it was a quite an insightful session. Now, final.
yeah.
Tell me what is the final message to the students that you would want to say as a what do you say, as a teacher or a professor, okay, as a cinematographer, okay, and as a creative person.
As a sound designer, I would say more than cinematographer, but
Okay.
as a filmmaker as well.
Right.
There is one key takeaway that I would say: ki, first, if you have found out what you love doing, a lot of people are stuck right there. Ki they don't
Mm.
know what they want to
Right.
do. And if you know what you want to do, put in your heart, put in your soul, put in your
Yes.
practice, put in the same amount of effort that you would do conventionally, studying in school, studying in college, into developing your skill, and that will take you a long way.
And I think that now next coming years it's going to be more of skill based. I mean,
It has
everything would be evaluated based on skills
it
than
has definitely gone to that. Like think of
yeah.
it right now. Like say if I put a job description, right? Like
Hmm.
for whatever. Say
Hmm.
I want to hire a cinematographer.
Right.
Okay. I would say editing is a bonus, graphic design is a plus. Like how many roles are you gonna give one person?
Hmm.
Right, but it's required, like find small touch up or small this thing, like all these things. Like I- I'm a little like conventional that ways. I would rather say have that pointed focus, but you should know about everything, but you
Right.
shouldn't be a master of everything.
Hmm.
That's what the takeaway is.
Hmm.
You should know about these things, but you should be a master of one thing,
Correct. Right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So yeah,
So this has been very, very insightful. I mean,
thanks.
one area where I think students would have not known. I mean, they would be directionless as to how to go about it. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure with this show, they would have got a lot of information.
I hope so too.
No, no, definitely it was.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming today.
My pleasure.
And I would want, if you are passionate and you are a creative person, you have you are a storytelling person, and also you have a little technical understanding the technicalities, then you can definitely make a career in filmmaking. And as we have got to understand, it is equally lucrative if you really are, you have the right skills for it, and passion most importantly, right?
100%. Yes.
Thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thanks, Jyoti, for having me. It was great, you know.
Talking
And
finally.
yes, yes, yes. And I hope a lot of students reach out to you so that you can guide them better. A lot of filmmaking students also go through this podcast so that they understand, all the details that go into applying for a film school. And
Right.
if I can be of any help to your students, I'm
Absolutely.
always
Yeah. So
available.
the
So
details would be put on the comment, okay,
super,
description, so they can
super.
always. And if you have any queries, students, if you have any queries relating to filmmaking, you can always
Or
put it
even
on
music for that matter.
music. Yes, you can put it on the comment box. We would be more than happy to reply. And see you all soon for the next show then. Bye.